Well, Rob, here we are, finals week again. The smile still says it all. Let's just reflect a little bit on Saturday first and what it meant to you, what it meant to the club.
Well, it was a fantastic occasion, kind of, wasn't it? In the end, I've sent a few messages back to people who've texted me, said, yeah, it was a great day, kind of, in the end, wasn't it? Because it would have been a fantastic occasion anyway, and we got off to a bit of a flying start, didn't we? And then you could see it get a bit edgy when Racing came back as they were always going to. And then there was a long 10 minutes at the end, wasn't there, when it looked like things were turning against us. But to fair play to the players, they saw it through, and they've achieved something very, very notable. This rugby club, to come through over the space of 10 years from being a Championships team to winning the Heineken Cup, winning the Premiership and the Heineken Cup now. Obviously, is great credit to the groups of players and staff and the people we've had involved in the club. Probably also you need to remember great credit to the people who were here before this last 10-year period. Because to get Sandy Park to where it was, and for the team to move through that process of being a third and fourth division club to being a regular fixture in the Championship, and then, as I say, the move to Sandy Park, all those things that had to happen all along the way. There's been a lot of people involved who've had to do a lot of things. Often, it's not even that long ago, mostly voluntary. They've all played an important part in the club sticking together and staying together and taking all the steps it's needed to get to where we are now. And there's an awful lot of people who are very proud of what happened at the weekend.
We all like a party here at the best of times, but it wasn't a real big opportunity to do it. We knew the focus had to be back on this week and Wasps, and you had to move on very quickly.
Yeah, it's funny because I kind of said that to the players earlier in the week. I said, look, guys, I know, we obviously had a few beers in the change rooms and had a decent time on the bus. And I said, look, I know you've not really celebrated yet. I know you've not really let yourself go. Because there's another game coming, and the scenario around you couldn't afford to really go out and enjoy yourself or mix with anybody. So let's make it all worthwhile. Let's make that sacrifice worthwhile. Let's make sure this game you turn up. You have got a couple of weeks off then. Obviously, it's a completely different scenario to what would normally happen at the end of a season. I said, but you have got a little bit of downtime then. And I actually said to him, I know you can go a lot harder in your partying than you've gone so far. So, let's make sure we give ourselves a really good reason for it, because, they do deserve to enjoy the moment. And I think for me, the key thing will be that they can really, really enjoy this season by playing well at the weekend. And that's kind of the biggest reason we've got to lock ourselves down, because it would really end up round the season off in a really special way if we can finish with a really big performance.
Obviously, the news coming through this morning, Wasps have passed clear now. Probably the best two sides in the division. It's only right that they contest it, and it would have been tough on them if they wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, rightly or wrongly, however people think the rules. Don't forget the regulations were very difficult to put in place. Had to get put in place at relatively short notice around difficult scenarios that no one had experienced before, and what's actually ended up happening by hook or by crook. How it's worked out, the two teams that qualified first and second and won the two semi-finals are here. They're here in the final. That's the way everyone wanted it to be. I actually probably think, everything that I've heard from Bristol is they're probably a bit relieved now that the party can start for them properly as well, because they've won the European Challenge Cup. They deserve to relax and enjoy themselves a bit as well before it all starts off again. So they can probably now relax. I hate to think what's probably going on at Bristol this morning. They're probably having a great time. And, hopefully that will be us and Wasps, on Sunday. But at the moment, there is something important to focus on. I think it's as you say, it's been nice that it's worked out. I'm really pleased for Wasps. Lee, fair play to Lee, he got hold of me first thing this morning once he knew what was going on, and said, so giving us as much notice as possible that we could start to prepare for playing Wasps. And that's very much what we'll do today. We'll lock down very focused on Wasps and what we need to do on the detail of playing them and playing well against them. And then it's going to be very much down to the players to get their mindset right and get their attitude right heading into what is, in every other sense, the biggest game of the season. In every other sense it would be. We've got to make sure that last week doesn't detract from the quality of the performance we want to put in this week.
Is that a message you've relayed to the boys this week, that you've got to match Wasps every level possible, even more, if you want to be successful, because this is their biggest game?
Oh, definitely. Wasps have been sitting there kind of smouldering on this game now for 2 weeks. And there's no point in us trying to pretend they haven't been, because they have been, because we've done it ourselves. They've been sitting there and waiting and preparing and getting ready and getting themselves, fresh and focused on this game. They've only had us to prepare for. There hasn't been any of the distractions for them. I know the COVID scenario will have been a distraction, but the COVID scenario is not a distraction from Exeter. It's a distraction on, what else was happening. So we've got to, we've got to make sure that we can hit the pitch and we can match them kind of physically, and we've got to match their intensity. Because if you get into final, you don't match the opposition's intensity. There's no point in being there, and that will be our biggest challenge. What we decide to do this week around the intensity and the physicality of the game.
What sort of, what from your own experience, what are you expecting? The guys will know what happens at Twickenham now. I know there's no fans; it's a bit different, but last week's final, that final experience got to be valuable.
It is important, because I think it just helps you weather those shifts in momentum and gives you a bit of confidence and allows you to get on with the next job. But I also think, looking at the lads' faces, looking at the way they were after the game, because, in the last couple of days, I haven't sensed a team that feel like, everything's done in this game is of secondary importance. I'm not sure in a lot of ways where I think winning the game has actually made this game more important, because it's created an opportunity that we wouldn't have had if we'd have lost. Because they have got the opportunity to do something very special now, something that very few teams have done. I think teams full of very kind of household name players now, haven't they? They've played teams that went out and made history for numerous years. They've got the chance to do that now, and I think that's helped us really manage to lock down this week and get ourselves ready for a focus on what will be, without doubt, a very tough game of rugby for us.
Last Saturday was bruising, physical, everything. Boys will have been bashed up, but team news, you're looking pretty good?
Team news, yeah, pretty good, to be fair. It's funny, players tend to come through big games. When there's big games around the corner, they just do. I think it just toughens you up a little bit. It makes those bruises feel a little bit less sore. We've trained pretty well. Mainly early in the week, it was just getting through some movement and getting the lads back up and running again, and just starting that focus process on ourselves and what we wanted to achieve this week. But we got to do some decent work yesterday. But we had a kind of a run out and a stretch and a recovery session on Monday. So we've got a bit done. It's going to be our main focus is getting ourselves prepared today, which is obviously going to be hugely important. And now we can focus on Wasps. Day off tomorrow, and then team run Friday, and a nice trip up to London together, where I think a lot of the process of how we win the game will have to happen between the lads when they're on the bus and at the hotel, and those kind of conversations you have, and the way you start to prepare yourself, as I say, for that physical endeavour you have to put into a final.
Rob, I asked you last week, do you dare to dream? Do you dare to dream now that the potential double and what that would mean for the club?
Well, of course you do, because it's one game away now. It's 80-minute performance, but experience has taught me many times over this last 5 years that dreams don't actually count for very much. It's the hard work you put on the field. We can all hope and we can all pray and we can all want it to happen. The team that's going to make it happen will be the team that will win the final.